Hello, everyone. If I could have your attention. Thank you for coming this morning to what we're hoping will be the first of many town hall meetings. Today's focus is going to be on emergency evacuation preparedness. You'll be hearing from Director Lisa Branham on that topic, and then you'll also be hearing from some other panel members here that are here today. Steve Hargrave, who is our Assistant Director for the Interior Complex Security. He'll be talking to you. He's part of the Office of Law Enforcement and Security, and he'll be talking to you about some active shooter preparedness. And then also Dennis Bozak, who is our Senior Special Agent, who is our Active Shooter Preparedness Coordinator. And so in a town hall setting, which we're wanting this to be, is it's going to be a very informal. We want you guys to feel you're going to be hearing some presentations, seeing some presentations that we have for the emergency preparedness evacuation, and then also with the active shooter preparedness. You'll hear those presentations, but then we're going to open it up for questions from each of you. So as you go through these presentations and you see them, be thinking of questions that you have. I'm sure that will come about on its own very naturally, because this is something that unfortunately in today we have to prepare for some very difficult situations that we hope will never come our way. But here, just recently, I'm sure you saw yesterday in South Carolina, we had another incident regarding an active shooter. And so we want to be prepared here with our Department of Interior employees that you see that we have a plan in place, and then what that plan is going to be and how it involves you, because we are concerned about your safety. And so then you'll know what it is that we are looking to do to provide for that safety, but then also prepare you so you'll know what to do in that time. So to get right to this town hall, I want to introduce Lisa Branham, who's the Director of the Office of Emergency Management, and we'll begin our presentations.
Good morning on a rainy morning. So as Tim mentioned, my name is Lisa Branham. I'm the director of the department's Office of Emergency Management, and our Office of Emergency Management plays the lead role for the department's Occupant Emergency Program. But we do that in close coordination with Tim in the Office of Law Enforcement and Security, as well as our friends in Office of Facilities and Administrative Services, which has the responsibility for the actual building in and of itself. So our responsibilities really are this building, the Stuart Lee Udall building, as well as the South Interior building, what we call the Interior Complex. Up here on the slide and in your packets, at the back of your packet is a copy of the Employee Emergency Guide. So I would encourage you to take your packet home with you. If you don't have that bulletin, it provides really basic information on how and the processes and procedures to evacuate this building here. Safe evacuation is really a personal responsibility. And so we encourage you to really understand all of the routes that you could take to get out of your office, regardless of whether you are down here in the bistro or up in your office. So these are the general steps. We don't often get an opportunity to actually stand in front of you and tell you how to evacuate. We do assume that you can figure that piece out on your own. So I am going to take a minute to go over this here and to remind you that when you hear a drill, the intent is to stop work immediately and use the nearest staircase. I will say that in past drills, the predominant egress out of the building has been in the main corridor. And if those of you at the edges of the building, please remember there are staircases on the east and west side of the building that will evacuate you out onto the 18th and 19th Street sides. So always keep options open in case one area, and this particular of importance when we're talking about an active shooter situation, and the actions are dynamic. So please keep in mind your alternate routes. In this case, Jonathan Rosen, if I could ask you to kind of step in front so everybody can see you. Jonathan is the department's Occupant Emergency Program Manager. So if I could also get a show of hand of wing wardens. If you're a wing warden, can I see your hand? If you would like to be a wing warden, we are always looking for volunteers. These are folks that help understand the program, can help your colleagues in your corridors to evacuate, know Jonathan intimately and personally in terms of training. He does one-on-one training with each of the wing wardens. So if you're interested in that, you can see Jonathan at the end of this presentation. The other thing I'll point out here is it's important to self-identify. If you have any kind of disability that prevents you from walking out of the building, and that could be anything from you're in a wheelchair always to you broke your leg and now you're on crutches. There is a process on the website that tells you how to self-identify. Let us know that you need assistance, and we'll either assign you a buddy or we'll debrief you on exactly how to get you out of the building safely. So keep that in mind if you have any short-term disabilities or long-term, that we can assist you in that manner. Reaching the rally point. How many of you know where the rally point is? And it's not Starbucks. I know it's always the tendency to sort of go out and then just scatter to the winds. I would encourage you for two reasons. One, the rally points that are identified here on this map, they're safe spaces for you, right? If there's something really happening in the building, these have been identified as being far enough away that it will protect you from whatever's occurring in the building. So I encourage you to go there and go there safely. Those stop signs and walk signs on the streets, we don't manage them. We've tried. It doesn't work. We can't manage them. It is up to you to follow those traffic signs and obey those laws. The last thing we want is to evacuate the building and have somebody, unfortunately, have a run-in with a car trying to cross the street. So that's always one of our biggest issues. So please do it in a safe and orderly fashion. Follow those crosswalk signs over to your rally points. And the last thing here I'll touch on is sheltering in place. It's been a while since we did a shelter in place drill, but it's coming. As a reminder for those of you in the basement, first and second floors and third floors, the shelter in place location is on the third floor, and anybody fourth floor and up, the shelter in place is on the fourth floor. So basically the third and the fourth floors are your shelter in place locations. And it's important that when we do have a shelter in place drill is do your best, I know it's very hard, but to remain quiet in those corridors. It is incredibly difficult to hear instructions, to give you instructions when there's a lot of people having little quiet conversations or loud conversations. So that is the one piece I want to share with you regarding shelter in place. So that is all I have on the occupant emergency program before I turn it over to Tim. And I'll entertain your questions as we get to the question section. But the last thing I want to impart to you is please remember that every time we have a drill in this building, please treat it as real. You may get a message that says it's going to be a drill, and the tendency sometimes is I'm on a conference call, I'm going to shut my door and turn off my light, pretend I'm not here. It is really critical that you take each and every one seriously, because if not, in an actual emergency, it'd be very difficult for you to just go. So that will be my last plea to you, is to take it seriously. And with that, I'll turn it back to Tim.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so as you've heard about the emergency evacuation preparedness and what we've done for that when it comes to sheltering in place or for a fire alarm, well, now we're going to transition to active shooter. And so when we talk about these things, you've heard about what we do for evacuation preparedness in the case of a fire drill or some other where we need to evacuate the building in a very orderly. You're going to have folks that are the wing wardens and very structured process. Well, now you're going to be hearing about something that's regarding active shooter. And so you're going to be hearing a little bit different take on how we want you to respond to an active shooter. And so Assistant Director Steve Hargrave, who's over the Interior Complex Security, is going to begin this discussion. And so as you hear this and see this, just keep in mind that I want to set in your mind that this is a different evacuation process than what you just heard, okay? Because the things that can occur in an active shooter situation will not be orderly, okay? Steve?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start speaking, we'd like to show you a tape about active shooter. There is a caption because it is a little bit graphic, so I just want to prepare you. So if y'all could please start the tape, and then I'll take the mic once the tape is done. Thank you very much.
A morning that began like any other turned tragic today when an employee opened fire on his supervisor and fellow coworkers.
Students, parents, teachers are asking why today, after a bloody rampage, plunged this campus into tragedy.
Details are just coming in, but we're being told that a heavily armed gunman opened fire this evening at the mall food court behind me. There's no official word on any casualties yet, but one eyewitness reported seeing at least 6 people shot.
Active shooter, a gunman or gunmen killing or attempting to kill people in a confined, populated area.
You gotta get some sleep. You're looking like a vampire.
You sleep. You ain't got no babies at home keeping you up.
What the hell? Sam again.
We've tried. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to let you go.
Active shooter killings are a tragic, unpredictable reality, and one that's becoming more common.
Since 2006, the U.S. has averaged an active shooter event with 4 or more deaths every 2.9 months.
Even though the number of active shooter events has been increasing, your odds of being involved in one are still very slim. But just like fire drills and earthquake preparedness, making a plan in advance can make all the difference.
Yeah, but lizards live in tanks. I mean, it's probably fine.
If you do find yourself in the middle of a senseless attack, the why doesn't matter.
Hey. Hey, buddy.
Hang on, something's happening.
What matters is surviving.
On average, 20 mass shootings take place in the U.S. every year.
Killers usually choose their victims at random. They look for easy targets. So the harder you are to see or to hit, the safer you are. When an attack starts, if you can find a way out of the location, do so.
Get out.
If you stay calm and think clearly, even in the middle of a life and death event, you improve your chances of making it out. Visualize your movements in advance.
What are we gonna do?
Look at me. Get us out. Stay behind me. Stay here.
Use cover, something that will stop a bullet, and concealment, something that at least keeps you out of sight.
Attention South LA units, code 3 response needed regarding a 245 DSV 417. This will be at the Town Center shopping mall. Suspects wearing a face mask, possible body armor.
Use any available means to get out, including emergency exits or windows. Most restaurants and retail locations will also have exits in the back through kitchens or stock rooms. Even in the best cases, police are minutes, not seconds away. You must take action to protect yourself.
Okay, everybody stay calm. It's probably just a drill.
No, go back, go back.
Oh my God, come.
If you can help others without putting yourself in unnecessary danger,
It's gonna be okay.
do so.
It's gonna be okay. What's your name?
Lori.
Lori? It's gonna be okay.
If you can't move safely to an exit, get to a room or a confined area you can lock down. Then secure the location.
Secure your location.
Oh my God.
There's somebody shooting.
Everybody stay calm. Remember how we train. Everybody get in this corner, away from the windows. Get the emergency bag from my desk. Help her.
Drywall won't stop a bullet, but there are steps to take to stay safe. Lock or barricade the doors, turn off the lights, move away from any windows, and silence your cell phone.
The other door doesn't lock. Move desks or anything, just block it.
A modern emergency bag can include a first aid kit, gloves, emergency plans for the building, and casualty cards to alert first responders to any wounded victims.
Most active shooter situations are over in 10 to 15 minutes.
Attention Lakeway units, code 3 is needed, red 245 GSV 417. It's going to be at Alexandria College. Multiple victims down.
Law enforcement's first responsibility when entering an active shooter situation is to stop the suspect, not to render aid to the victims. Medical teams will enter the scene as soon as the suspect is no longer a threat or is confirmed in another location. Silence any cell phones and remain quiet. Do not alert the shooter to your presence.
Sheriff's Department, is there anyone inside?
Red card.
Just hang tight. We'll be back to get you.
Defend yourself.
If you cannot escape the location and you can't shelter in place, you may have to defend yourself as a last resort. Almost anything can be turned into an improvised weapon. Look for something that can disrupt the shooter's ability to see, breathe, or control their weapon. When law enforcement arrives, they are going to be in a heightened state of readiness and awareness, looking for any aggressive movements. So keep your hands visible and follow any commands you are given.
He's a shooter.
Okay.
Hey, let me see your hands. Come here.
Okay.
What happened? What happened?
Oh, it was just a shooter. I just saw one shooter.
Especially in developing situations, engaging law enforcement, running toward them, reaching for them, even to thank them, could put people at risk.
Surviving an active shooter.
Anybody injured? Two up front.
For more information,
Thank you. Seriously.
visit activeshooter.lasd.org.
Again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell, the Office of Law Enforcement and Security Emergency Management takes active shooter very serious. This training is not just the only training that you'll receive. Our plan is to provide semi-annual training to the employees. One thing that we've noticed in past active shooters is one thing that's common. The common theme is that when people were evacuating the building, they all said, because of our training, we knew what to do. So you will see much training within the next couple months and throughout the years here at the Interior Department, sponsored by both the Office of Law Enforcement and Security and Emergency Management. And we also have the support of Office of Facilities and Assistant Services, Rick Farr, and our HR office and others, because we think this is very serious, and at the end of the day, we want you to go home to your families. Just to kind of give a recap of the video, an active shooter incident is something that's immediate, and unfortunately, in many situations, death is a result. The incident is not contained, meaning that once the active shooter, he or she gets into a building, they are going to go throughout the building and try to implement as much carnage as possible, so it's not contained. And as I stated earlier, unfortunately, there is a risk of serious injury or death. The FBI does many surveys on active shooter. Between 2000 and 2013, there were approximately 160 active shooter incidents. Out of those 160 active shooter incidents, there were 557 people who were wounded. Between 2000 and 2007, there was an average of 6.4 active shooter incidents per year. Between 2007 and 2013, that number jumped up to 16.4 active shooter incidents per year. Obviously, from that data, you can tell that active shooters are becoming more frequent, and that in itself highlights the need for training. Unfortunately, all active shooter incidents just don't occur on the West Coast. There have been local active shooter incidents. Back in 2007, we had the Virginia Tech incident. At Virginia Tech, 32 students and faculty members were killed. At the U.S. Holocaust, which is not far from here, that was in June of 2009, a security officer was killed. At the Discovery Channel headquarters, which is in Maryland, gentlemen took several employees hostage. Luckily, law enforcement responded and no one was hurt or injured. I'm sorry. And finally, in September of 2013, we had the unfortunate incident at the Naval Yard where there were 12 casualties and 4 people were wounded. I'm going to introduce Special Agent Bozak momentarily to talk about specifics as it relates to active shooter and run, hide, and fight. But as far as the guards are concerned, if there's an event that occurs in the building, and I pray that it never happens, security, our responsibility is to alert all the employees, and we'll be talking about those type of devices as we go throughout the training. The security will also contact the local authorities. Just to let you know, we have been in contact with them and we have done training. So you'll have a response from Federal Protective Service, the Park Police, and Metropolitan. Security will also secure the scene, and then when deemed reasonable, render aid to those who are injured and assist law enforcement. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Special Agent Dennis Bozak. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Everybody see me in the back? I know my height sometimes getting in the way of these podiums. A couple things about active shooter, and I like to lay out ground rules right up front. The most important person in an active shooter is you. I'm more important than you are. You're more important than the person next to you. All rules are off. Your main goal in an active shooter is to stay alive. We'll go through a couple of scenarios, some ideas, some concepts, some things that will help you, and things that will help not only you, but should be shared with your family. You know, for many years, we learned stop, drop, and roll, right? Let me show of hands. Everyone pretty much knows that one, right? Well, the fire department got one up on law enforcement, so we had to get one back up on them. If we can protect you against fire, then we can protect you against this, or at least give you tools to help protect you against this. I did 23 years with the U.S. Park Police as a captain before I came over to OLES, and I'm very lucky to have this position. I also had the unfortunate luck to be at the Holocaust Museum and the Joint Operation Command and MPD when Navy Yard went on, and had personal friends that had to go inside that building and take care of business. If you don't think it's going to happen, folks, we don't know what else to tell you. You know, we've had the polar bear guy out in the pond out front. We laugh about it. We've had Greenpeace inside this building. It's happened. For those of you who've been around for a little while, we had Tractor Man who pulled over in Constitution Gardens and shut this whole area down, okay? It happens, folks. West of the Mississippi, we're not very liked. I love Interior. I love Interior's mission. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. Not everybody sees it the same way we do, so we have to take it serious. If we don't, being naive and not being aware of our surroundings is the worst that we can do for ourselves. Whether it's here, whether it's at home, whether it's in your neighborhoods, social gatherings, the mall, cafeterias. This video is a little shocking for some. But if you looked at it and you paid attention to it, you'd see it was office space, it was schools, it was cafeterias, it was malls, everywhere we normally go. Run. We talked about you being most important. Get out of Dodge, okay? We have the OEP. Over the years, when certain areas were closed, all of the first floor is now open. We know primarily how to get out of the building. We know one way out for the most part. We come in. We all do it. I walked down the cafeteria the other day and was walking out the building, didn't realize I was doing it because I had stuff on my mind at home. We do that. We get complacent. We get a little lazy. Know your OEP. Know which way to get out of the building. Know your secondary routes out. This building is challenging at times because once you get out of the main corridor, these wings, there's not a whole lot of place to go. You may be in a meeting in a different floor. The building's the same. How you get out on a daily basis is going to be different. When we say run, we're getting to hide. You may be running and realize there's another person in the building. Now I need another way to get out. Okay, there are times, Columbine, 2 people. San Bernardino, male and female. Male shot, female didn't get involved in that one. When there's 1, folks, plan on 2. No 2 ways out. Running's not an option. We have to hide. We have physically challenged folks. You could be playing soccer on a Sunday with your friends, bang your ankle up, you're in a cast, now you can't walk. Now you're on crutches. So now your regular way out is not there for you. For our physically challenged folks, I know we like to use the elevators all the time, and the stairs are sometimes difficult for us. We understand that. When there's no alternative for you to get out, you have to hide, especially in some of the wings of these hallways where there is no way out. How do you hide? Anywhere. You know, most people say, I'll go right under my desk. Well, being a prior SWAT guy and watching some of these after-action reviews and reading some of these after-action reviews, when someone comes through the door, unless they're extremely well-trained, they're going to go right to the middle of that room, and they're going to look at that desk, and they're going to look underneath it. For me, if I was going to hide in a room and I have a door that swings this way, I'm going to stay in one of the deep corners. The person's going to come in with the gun. You're going to see the gun, you see the hand, you see their body. All right? They're looking here. They're not looking necessarily in the corners. SWAT guys, tactical folks, law enforcement, we train differently because we know those are our deep threats. For you, that's an option. You have closets in some of your rooms. Options. But anywhere you can hide where you're out of view. Active shooters are quick, but it takes a while for the police to get here. So quick is 5 to 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes is a long time when these high-powered rifles that you see out there can fire 30 rounds out of a magazine in less than 10 seconds. Now think about that. So hiding. Hide anywhere. Closets. Stairwells. Anywhere you can get to where you're out of the view of somebody that's coming to hurt you. When you're hiding, that's not the time to panic and say he's not going to find me. That's the time to start thinking about, okay, I'm hiding here. Where am I going to go next to get out? And we get to fighting. There is no rule against protecting your life and saving your life. You are legally bound and justified to fight for your life in self-defense. Don't be afraid to do that. Someone is trying to kill you. We're at this point where it's you versus somebody else. Law enforcement's coming. You're lucky enough and fortunate enough that you have armed folks at the door, and you have 1811s and law enforcement uniformed folks in the building. But it's still going to take some time to get here. We may not get there. It may be you versus the bad guy. And if that's the case, you have to make that mental decision that my life is more important than this person, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get away from him, stop him. That means picking up scissors, a broom handle, a chair. You know, you got this nice presidential heavy award on your desk. Pick it up and smash him with it. I try and lay it out there so that, and I come across a little hard, but I want to. This is our lives, folks. It's something to take serious. We took fire serious for many years. This is something we have to take serious. And this is something that's going to protect you and your family. When you're attacking somebody, eyes, like you're seeing with the fire extinguisher, throat, neck, groin, take a leg out and run. Whatever you need to do, whatever you need to do to survive. I can't emphasize that enough. When it's safe, some questions have come up, 911 or 9911. Either way, you dial it when you can to get out. It's going to go to dispatch center. So if you're in a panic, 911. While we're on phones, when you're hiding, even when you're moving, turn your phones off. Leave your personal items behind. You don't need them. You know, if you have to call for a ride to get home that day, because chances are you're not coming back in the building, we'll deal with it then. You are the only person that is important. Everything else can wait. The bosses can wait. The job can wait. Everyone can wait. Job's going to be there the next day. Your family needs you. You need you. What's going to happen when law enforcement responds? This is where it gets real dicey. For you, when I say dicey, this is a tremendously large building. When law enforcement responds in this building, we don't know where this incident is. We're hoping that we get some information by the time we get here. The 1811s and the law enforcement folks have a general plan on what we're going to do in here. It's a tactical question. It's a tactical response. It's something we like to keep close to our chest. If you have questions, and I encourage a lot of questions after we're done here, certain things we will talk about, certain things we will not. But we have a plan. We're going to get there as soon as we can. But understand the position that we're in. We're just as scared as you are. We know someone's in there with a gun. It's our responsibility to stop them. So we're putting ourselves in harm's way to help you to stop this person. We're going to walk past someone who's shot. We're going to walk past someone who's hurt. We're going past the scared people. Our job is to go stop and neutralize that person. It helps us by you guys remaining calm. If you're running, keep running. Law enforcement folks are generally going to come down a center part of the hallway or a center right, center left part of the hallway, and they're going to be moving quick. Keep your hands up. Don't carry any items. If you know the person, God forbid, if he's in your wing and you've seen him, give us a description. Especially the law enforcement folks. Black shirt, blue pants, you know, whatever the case is. Whatever you need to know, whatever you can help us out, will help us out. Avoid those quick moves. If I'm walking down the hallway with a rifle and I'm looking here, I don't need someone to come up beside me, please help me, come grab onto my leg. I'm the most important person. You're not. The most important person are those cops trying to stop that person. When you call the 911 operator, if you can, and when you can, your location and where you've seen the person last, and a full description. His name if you know him, what he's wearing, what he's carrying. You know, we don't need to know, not everyone's a gun guy. The difference between a Glock and a SIG, a rifle, a shotgun, it's a long gun or it's a handgun. That's all we need to know. What color he's wearing, what direction of travel he's in, what hallway was he last seen in, have you seen him before? And make it quick, because that 911 dispatch center is going crazy with everyone else calling. You have external folks that are going to be coming here. When I say external folks, Park Police, MPD, Uniform Division Secret Service, FPS, U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, FBI, Capitol Police, Maryland State Unit Police, Secret Service, and Fairfax County Helicopter responded to the Navy Yard. And I just rattled it off how quick. So all those people are coming to help us. So as they're approaching, as they're coming in the building, help them get through. The more information that you give the 911 dispatcher before they get here, the better. All those other agencies are calling our dispatch center or 911 dispatch center wanting information about, hey, what's going on in the building? They want to know. Quick to the point. Get the information out to them. Talked about that. Supervisors. God forbid something happens. Someone eventually is going to come to you and say, Who was Mary's husband? Where are her kids? Where does she live? Do we have phone numbers for her family? Have plans of action with your group. You have probably most of us have a monthly or at least a weekly meeting, monthly meeting, quarterly meeting. When you have those meetings, get the guys together and say, hey, why don't we run a little active shooter drill? We don't do it. But if something was to happen, do I have everybody's contact information? Do I know, do I need to know everything about everybody? Absolutely not. But a little overview, because someone eventually is going to come to you and say, hey, who do we contact? Who do we call? We got to notify their kids, their next of kin, whatever the case is. The police are going to come and ask you. If you're the supervisor, they're going to come to you. They're going to come and ask for you because you know that person. Have a plan for your drills. You don't have to do anything where it's a complete evacuation, but talk about it with your employees. We don't have everybody here. There's a handful of, a couple thousand people in this building. Share the information you get here and go back. And if you took something away from it, let them know and have them here at the next one. Because that's the important part of this whole new world and realm that we work in, is that this is a reality, folks. This isn't Israel, this isn't Afghanistan, this isn't Pakistan. This is here. This is the United States, this is the District of Columbia, and the areas that we work and live in. Thank you for giving me a few minutes up here to talk to you. In the emails that went out, my information is there. I drink French vanilla coffee, red eye if it's over here. Come up and see us. Come up and talk with us. Ask us questions, send me an email. If you don't want to talk in front of everybody up here, come up and see me, 3421. I've been around this long enough that I'm pretty versed in it, and if I don't have an answer for you, I promise you that you'll have it before the end of the day. Thank you.
Okay, so let's just take a minute that's a lot to take in early in the morning. So everybody just kind of take a deep breath. Remember, this is the town hall. This, is supposed to be a little bit as relaxed as an environment as we can make it, but this is a very serious subject that goes without saying. And so now what I want to do is open it up to you. I'm sure that you may have some questions, and like Dennis had said, if you don't feel comfortable asking in this type of setting, you can find us there in the 3400 wing, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have there. So I want to open it up. Does anybody have any questions for the panel? Yes, ma'am? Go ahead and stand up.
Can you all hear me? Check. Okay, good. We just got new motion-sensitive lights in our office, and we are worried that if we go to turn the lights off and walk back into our offices or anywhere in them, that the lights will come back on. So our question is, we are able to hit the button to turn it off, and we did a little practice, my coworker and I, moving in the room. We wanted to know how long will those lights stay off before they'll come back on again. And if you walk outside our doors, the sensors are strong enough that it will bring the lights back on. I just wanted to know if there was any advice about these kind of lights.
Okay. Rick? Come on up. Come on up.
Huh? I'm not sure I can answer that question at this point. I wasn't expecting that type of feedback. The new lighting system, yes, they are office sensitive. The Lutron lights actually turn off and with no motion in the room, but as soon as you walk back in, they do activate. Now, there is an off button in there, and double checked the timing, but I thought it was off for at least 10 to 15 seconds before it would go back to reset to pick up the motion again, but I will get that answer to you and get it back to Tim for distribution.
Test. Thank you. I have a question that's about the rendezvous points. If there's an active shooter situation, for instance, our rendezvous point is at South Interior on the front lawn. We're still supposed to report to our rendezvous points, or are we supposed to keep running?
So I'll take part of that. So the first answer is yes, you should go to your rally point as your first destination. I think at that point you'll be aware of the situation. Now, if the shooter is actually on the South Interior building front steps, obviously keep running. But it is important to at least have that destination for employee accountability also, so supervisors know where you are. So I don't know if there's any other add-ons, but rally points should be your intended destination.
I would add this. Rally points are your intended destination, but don't stop. If we know it's a true active shooter and it's going on, leave. Get out of the area. By the time you get out of the building and you're far enough away and you realize, okay, I'm supposed to be heading back, this place is going to be surrounded with law enforcement folks. Chances are your rally points are now going to be command posts and locations for additional assets and resources to respond for law enforcement and emergency services to help out and set up to help people inside the building. You're not wrong by continuing to run and make a phone call later on that day or the next day and say, hey, when do I report back to work? So, going back to the OEP, your intent is to get out of the building, you know your OEP, that's your first way out. If you need to keep rolling, you keep moving, don't stop. No one's going to question you if you don't come back in the building at the end of an active shooter. Or even if it was an extensive drill and you're not sure, then stay unsure until you're sure.
As we saw in the video clips and some recent active shooter incidents, it's co-workers that are doing this. Here at Main Interior, I know if you have a badge, you're just able to wheel in your 20-pound suitcase that holds who knows what. Is there any thought, and please, I know I'm going to get flamed for making it harder to get to work, but is there any thought to making everybody go through the metal detectors?
Steve? Sir, excellent question. I was here 9/11, and the day after 9/11, we implemented a search where all employees had to be searched before they came into the building. Everybody was amenable. Everybody knew that we were being attacked, so there were no issues. The fifth day, I get a call from the upstairs telling me to stop screening employees because we started becoming complacent. And I was told that some employees felt that their rights were being violated because they had to be searched. So we currently search visitors as they come into the building, but we no longer search employees. That's something that we have revisited, and you'll see, because we have several security features that we're going to be implementing with new turnstiles, cameras, some other things that we're going to be doing throughout the building. And that's something that we are considering revisiting. I know at one time, OPM used to search all employees. They stopped, but I think they are considering, due to the current environment, to starting that program up again. So that's something that we are looking into. So thank you for asking, sir.
This is a little outside of the scope of this building, but a lot of us spend time at other DOI or bureau offices that are like wide open cube farms. Is there anything specific to respond in those situations where you may not really have any opportunity to hide?
Dennis?
That's a great question. And I think that goes back to what I mentioned earlier for all of us. Run, hide, fight is a concept and a theory, and being aware of your surroundings and your situational awareness of when you're in and out of a location you may not be familiar with is probably your biggest asset when it comes to that type of scenario. We all go to locations we may not know the best way in, the best way out, a second way in. Some of these buildings we get into, you walk down a couple of hallways, you don't even realize where you're at anymore. My best suggestion to that would be whatever you think might work, that's what you try and do.
Can I ask, how will I be notified that there's an active shooter?
Go ahead.
First of all, again, thank you, Steve, for that question. Obviously, we've looked into this about the notification to employees. The Office of Law Enforcement, we've met with the OCIO's office to discuss how we can get a message across your computer if you're sitting down at your desk to inform you that there's a situation in the building and we need you to shelter. Because there are a number of firewalls that are up, a mass communication right now is something that we are running into some obstacles on, but we're working with the OCIO's office to address those. So we got back together and we talked about, okay, what can we do short term? What can we do immediate to inform the employees that there's an active shooter or there's an emergency in the building and we need you to secure or, like Dennis said, run, hide, or fight. So short term, what we're looking at is I have this up on display. This is a message that will go across the computer in your office. It's going to come in the form of a LAN message. And basically, it's going to tell you to run, hide, fight. And then it's going to tell you to evacuate the building or lock your door, block the door, and then stand by for further instruction, and then let you know the police are responding. Again, this is something that's in the trial phases. As we kind of fine-tune this message, there'll be communications through handouts and other forms that will be going to employees to let you know that to be expecting this. We're also looking at emergency beacons, and this is something that the security team has been working with several companies on. If you're not at your desk, if you're down here in the cafeteria, and there's a situation upstairs, we need to be able to alert you down here that there's an emergency and you need to shelter. That means head out the back and run out the back door, grab a sandwich on your way out, but you need to do something. So what we're looking at doing is posting these emergency beacons, and again, we're going to be notifying the employees and training the employees. These emergency beacons will be strategically placed throughout the building, and through training, because this is separate from the fire beacon, through training, you'll see that if you're down here eating and you see one of the strobes, the blue strobe or a yellow strobe, through your training, you'll know, okay, there's an emergency in the building, I need to shelter in place, or I need to run, hide, or fight. So Steve, to answer your question, those are things that we're looking at. And finally, and I can let Ms. Brannon talk more about this, there's the send word now option, and that's in the event if you're not in the building, but that's some type of communication that can come over your phone. And Lisa, if you have a moment, you want to speak about that, please? Thank you.
So those of you that are wing wardens or rally point coordinators or anybody part of our evacuation support team is rostered on what's considered a send word now list. And we have contact information for you from emails to cell phones and regular phones. And during a normal evacuation, that is what is sent out from our operations center to wing wardens to let you know the status of the building and the fact that we're evacuating or not. In an active shooter situation, I will caveat the answer with the operations center will send out information using SendWord Now if and when they are able to. And then I will remind folks that, we just trained you to turn your cell phones off once you hear something. So it may be that we'll send a SendWord Now, you may not receive it, or you'll see something come silently. But as Steve mentioned, a lot of these communication methods are still in the works because there is a concern about creating noise when you're trying to shelter in place.
I have a question. We are on the 7th floor. If we are not at the computer, maybe in the kitchen, restroom, or something, how will we be notified?
Yes, ma'am. That goes back to the beacons, and what we're looking at is placing the beacons strategically throughout the building. There's even some consideration to having a small beacon in each office, and the beacon will be activated by the guard. We have a brand new command center, which is located down in the basement. It's B254. If you have an opportunity, if you haven't already seen it, I would love to take you down and look at this. It's a state-of-the-art command center. We have over 300 cameras in this building. And we just recently installed cameras in the halls, the corridors, and next year, FY17, we're going to be installing cameras down each hallway. Those cameras will be used so that when Dennis and other law enforcement members have to pursue someone, a bad person, they know where that person is in advance. But to answer your question, ma'am, we are looking at putting these beacons in strategic areas throughout the building, and funding is no object. So if it means that we have to put a beacon in each office to notify you, then that's something we will do. Thank you, ma'am.
Anyway, excellent presentation, Mr. Bozak. You had mentioned in your briefing that 1811s would respond. For those not familiar with the OPM job series, that would be criminal investigators from different parts of the building?
Yes, question was 1811s for those who are not familiar with the OPM law enforcement series. 1811s are the special agents. Generally suit and tie folks and criminal investigators, plainclothes. You'll see National Park Service, U.S. Park Police, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Fish and Wildlife Service in uniforms. Generally, the 1811s, the criminal investigators, are your suit and tie folks, not in uniform. So if we respond, we'll have on a tactical vest, a black-colored vest, a dark-colored vest. It'll say police across the back. You shouldn't see, unless it's an emergency right in front of us, where we're running around with street clothes on. Street clothes is you let the law enforcement folks know someone's running around with a suit and tie on with a gun. Ideally, in our world, unless it's happening here, we're having lunch and something happens, that's a different story. If we're responding out, we're notified of something, we're going to try and get to a location, get our gear together, get a couple of people to go and try and solve the problem. So, thank you very much.
I was wondering what advice you have if we're hiding in place. We don't feel comfortable calling 911 because someone might be able to hear us. If there are options for texting somebody, or if the best practice is to text a family member and have them call 911, or kind of what the best advice is.
First rule is you're the most important person in the room. So that call is going to have to be, let me back up. That decision to make that phone call is yours. And you do that when you're comfortable and you feel that it's safe to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a rush. Our dispatchers would much rather hear someone who's taken 30 seconds to grab their composure and provide information that's useful, as opposed to just throwing a lot of information out there that they can't make sense of. So if you can, it's when it's safe to do so, to call 911. We don't have any texting ability that would text a friend and call 911. That's an option. Text your husband, hey, there's a shooter in the building, he's right outside of my office, call 911. Sure, that could be done. The idea behind not touching your phone at all is you don't know if it was on vibrate last, if it was on audio, you don't know what that phone is doing. So the quickest thing to do is just shut it off and leave it. Give yourself a little bit of composure, and when you're ready and safe, make the phone call at that point.
So I want to be respectful of your time. So we'll take one more question, and then I'll close out our town hall meeting for today.
Okay, we've all been to the movies and we've seen people who are playing active shooters and they pull a fire alarm. Now, I respect the beacons, but before the beacons are installed, God forbid, we have an incident where we are told there's an active shooter and then a fire alarm goes off. Should we shelter in place and ignore that alarm, or wait for further instruction?
Dennis, you want to?
That question has come up quite a few times, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that one. Unfortunately, at this point, until these beacons are in place, I think you alluded to that one. The question is this: If a fire alarm is pulled, but we know it's an active shooter, then we know it's an active shooter. You take active shooter protocols. If there's no indication of active shooter, OEP, fire alarm drills, nothing changes. You know, this is a very unique dynamic, and the difficulty with this building is the number of different bureaus that we have here. I went over and watched EPA do an exercise that they ran. Most, if not the whole facility, was theirs, all EPA employees. Here it's different. We're on different networks, different phone lines, so it's complicated. So the answer to the question is, there is no wrong. If we know it's an active shooter, run, hide, fight.
So what I want to close out with is think about that video that you watched, and then how it depicted the scenes in everyday life where this could potentially happen. And so that's why we actually chose that video, because it did depict everyday life that someone can encounter. You might be here at work, you might be out at a mall, something where you totally do not expect something like this to happen. And so what we want you to do, what I want you to take away from this training this morning, is have a plan. When you're here in the office, talk to your coworkers, talk to your boss, have a plan of what you would do. Don't wait on us to come tell you what we think you should do. As Dennis had pointed out, you guys are the most important person in the room. We want you to return safely to your family, to your loved ones, but have a plan on if something like this were to happen in here, and we certainly hope it never does, but in the case that it does, have a plan on what you're going to do. Don't wait on, like we've talked about, law enforcement's going to be on the way. Just to touch on one other point there, we are coordinating with all the different law enforcement entities that are here within the building for a coordinated response. And I really don't want to go into any particulars about that. If you have some questions, please come and ask me, and I'll try to answer them as best you can. But that's one of those things that we want to keep, our response plan as closely guarded as we can. So, again, thank you for your time this morning. I know this is a very sensitive subject. It's a difficult subject. It's something that we're being faced with here in our country more and more often. And so we hope that, again, like I said at the start of this, that this is the first of many town hall meetings, and we can continue this maybe on some more pleasant topics in the future. So thank you this morning, and have a good day.